Hey guys, Dakota here. I have a story about my time at the Portland Saturday Market as a vendor. I went through several challenges as an individual entrepreneur, but also as a team. As a member of the Portland Saturday Market, you have the opportunity to volunteer your time to participate in a committee that also contains elected members. This committee makes the major decisions for the market as a whole. This team had to take local and state ordinances into consideration, as well as the health of the entire market, not just their own businesses. However, my participation in this committee was during a time of conflict. This team was discussing the Burnside Bridge project and its impact on the market. It was set to begin the next year. The project would mean that the market would need its location temporarily moved or completely closed. This impact would change fee structure, number of vendors we could accommodate, and the entire space where shoppers would come to park and enjoy the market, albeit still on the waterfront. As a newer member of this team, I was specifically asked what my opinion was on the market move and if I had any insight into the modernization of the market. I expressed my opinion in relation to the market as a whole and the Burnside Bridge project impact. I had a unique opinion in that I probably was making the least out of all the vendors because the market tends to increase your business over time, and it was my first season. I expressed the concern for fees increasing and opportunities for new vendors to make a living at the market. Since the majority of this team was longtime vendors of more than 15 years, they expressed that they would be willing to pay even more in fees, upwards of $500 a weekend, to continue the market and keep their preferred location versus planning a move that could accommodate the entirety of the market base and would greatly reduce fees. A classical case of groupthink. This reminded me of a passage from the book Who Moved My Cheese, which has been suggested by Kat several times. Basically, this team had been so afraid of never finding new cheese that he, or they, didn't even want to start looking. But from Johnson, page 63. This felt really out of touch with the majority of the vendors who sort of just made it by during this time. This could even be attributed to the fundamental attribution error, or the tendency to attribute praise and blame to people rather than situations, from our textbook by Aldag and Kuzuhara, page 211. During their time of success, they happened to be functioning in a heyday of entrepreneurship, or everything was aligned just right, that attributed to their perceived success. Thanks to research from another assignment, I know they received several grants from the city and state to sustain the market several times over its lifetime, and it's easy to think that individual businesses were responsible when this was clearly a mark of the environment at the time. As the longest-running open-air market for artisans in the country, I felt like this was not really the image that I was expecting us to want to continue to put forward. I would label this as a process conflict, or a conflict regarding things such as how a project should be addressed and who should do what, from our textbook by Aldag and Kuzuhara, page 220. I saw the Portland Saturday Market as an opportunity for those that could not sell their wares elsewhere and therefore should be representative of the uniqueness that Portland has to offer, but I did not experience that from this team. It felt like the objective was to make as much money as possible for long-time and well-known vendors because they earned it due to their longevity at the market. They had not been paying attention to the small changes that had been taking place each day, so they took it for granted their cheese would always be there. Again, from Who Moved My Cheese by Johnson, page 33. Essentially, confidence and longevity of the market made it feel like these well-known vendors were invincible and could continue doing what they've always done, no matter the circumstances, without involving newer artisans in the conversation, unless it aligned with what they believed. Over the next year, the Portland Saturday Market made efforts to spotlight already well-known artisans and brought back some retro creative choices when advertising. This was not necessarily helping the market grow because they were old-fashioned designs that were recycled. It would have been one thing to redo something with a retro feel to it, but reusing old advertising materials was a low-effort move that probably hindered the market influence during that season. The market had become a group of all very similar artisans, and the committee continued to recruit more of the same type of artisans, like more painters, more potters. I suggested focusing on something more unique that can only be found at the Portland Saturday Market, and the suggestions just were not heard. As an individual, I had to remove myself from the team because I felt like the perspectives were already so biased and skewed that my voice had no impact on any decisions, which was why I volunteered to join in the first place. Due to my newness to the team, I had no way to implement the suggestions for managing inter-team relationships and conflict from our textbook. I would even describe the situation of the committee that formed as a zombie team. It's a team that failed to change as needed and began to drag down other parts of the organization. And I think that because some of these issues did not resolve until certain vendors chose to retire from the market and allow more energetic and insightful members to have a say. And that was from our textbook by Aldag and Kuzuhara, page 231. I did continue to attend the market, but ultimately dropped out during the pandemic due to continued and even increased vendor fees that I was unable to pay while the market was closed. This was the case for many vendors that started around the same time as I did, and with those I remained in touch with, none chose to return to the market after it reopened. Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you guys have a great month off.